Welcome to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. This podcast is for those who seek answers from above, guidance and magical inspiration.
Immerse yourself in the realms of magic, angels, fairies, unicorns, dragons, and so much more. I'm Kirsty Jandrell, and I'm delighted to be here with you today.
And I am Kate Latchfeld.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast for another extremely exciting episode. And Kate and I once more are thrilled to re-welcome a dear friend of the podcast who's joining us for a third time, timwhild. Thank you, Tim.
Morning. Hi, Kirsty. Hi, Kate. Lovely to see you both, and thanks for inviting me back for a third time. So, I must be doing something right, mustn't I?
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, but for those of you who are not familiar with Tim, and I'm sure there are very few who aren't, but Tim is an Ascension expert. He's an Atlantean international speaker and crystal expert from Dorset in the UK. And he's been delivering these amazing grounding Friday Ascension updates and Monday meditations for many years now, which is really a true touchstone for so many of thousands of beautiful souls who have found themselves or directed themselves towards the Ascension pathway. So we're here today, really, aren't we, Tim, to feel into the pre-solstice energies. We're sitting here sort of in the bang in the middle of June.
Marinating in the energies.
Various frequencies here.
Yeah.
And it seems almost surreal to ask you this, but as we're almost sort of halfway through 2025, could you give a brief overview, please, of the way that you've experienced 2025 playing out so far, and perhaps what have been the main themes and patterns that you've observed in the field or experienced personally?
It's it's such a valid question. It really is, and I'm sure you've both experienced quite a ride this year so far. It's for me personally. This is the year of change. We've been prepared and prepared, and I know a lot of people say this, oh, it's the year of change, but we're actually now beginning to see tangible transformations in the society outside of our window. Now, this might not be being presented in a way that people are comfortable with, but it's changed nonetheless. So the way that I always like to kind of like gauge a year is by what spiritual energies have been implemented, what's the information from those up top, and kind of what is it on the ground that we are going to be navigating. And I mean, January and February were incredibly powerful. It's almost like we were still moving through. I know I joke about it. It's like the Great Plague of 2024, wasn't it? The whole of December, like everyone got took out. Like that was it. Like everyone was just like basically ill. And after the solstice gates opened on the 12th of the 12th, like the prelude for all of that Christ consciousness energy, all of a sudden the whole of the lightwork community got took out. They were all just like ill from one reason for another. That happens when we receive a huge amount of light coming in. It's almost like it was a little bit too strong for everybody. And the original target that Serapis Bay and the gang had begun to rise again. Now it's gone off the charts. It's now 59, maybe even 60% of people on this planet who are in the ratio of awakened to unawakened. So we're in a good spot as far as that's concerned. But a lot of very off the wall things have happened particularly during March and April, and I've had to navigate around this, and I know a lot of other people have as well, is there's been some distinctive changes in the information about the amount of people walking through the Ascension Gateway and what our roles as light workers actually has become as a result of this. So it's like the timeline is still the timeline. We're still on the golden pathway, but there's some different things that have had to be factored in due to the incredible level of distraction invested in what we would call the illusion, the great grand illusion, the carnival, the show that's happening out in the outside world. It's lots of variables, things that people couldn't have predicted and couldn't have expected have been occurring so far this year. So,
Tim, to what you're saying, we're going to move on to the next question, but diving into what you're saying already, we kind of know our path and our role in that, right? But would you add anything to us as whoever you like to call it, light workers, people that, feel what would be the role, what would be the guidance, what would be the message of hope for those that they're here, to boost it a little bit more? What is that role that you mentioned?
If you look at the outside world at the moment and get plugged into what's going on a kind of a visceral, on a surface level, it would be very easy to get sucked into the fear, into the distraction, the distortion, the illusion. And this is very much what Merlin and Serapis Bey were talking about early on in the year, is the fact that I think the key date for me, or one of the things that really occurred that stands out that I'll always remember for the rest of my time on this planet, is on the 29th of March, we received something called the blue light that washed through our third eyes. And when this came through, it was just like, it's going to come through. It's going to remove all of the ability that people have to hide from the truth. So it's almost like it's just like a mass bleaching of the third eye. So people that were previously able to get plugged into the field and sustain their illusion, they no longer have that ability to do so anymore. So there is a lot of cages being rattled out there because people can now see everything. They can see what they're resonating with, what they're not resonating with. They can also see the level of distortion or untruth that has been basically the life that we were born into. And so it's a case of understanding that everything that is occurring at the moment is happening for a higher purpose, and that the end result is that you cannot change or transform an entire world without making there's going to be things that are lost, such as old structures and the way that they were built before. And in the meantime, there's an incredible amount of furore, of confusion. Nobody really knows what direction they're going in. A lot of people are feeling very kind of rudderless, so to speak. So the idea would be and the way that I'm kind of coaching and guiding myself and other people around me, is to have an understanding of the bigger picture. If you understand the bigger picture and you're looking at what's occurring from a higher perspective, we've got to go through what we're going through. But being plugged into kind of like the emotionally charged part of the field that is witnessing everything that's going on almost like a victim level. Oh my God, they're doing this to us now. Oh my God, what are they doing to the skies? What are they doing to, the laws, the regulations, popping the cameras up? I'm seeing a huge group of people that get very invested in the baddies, and the ones that are kind of like perpetrating these acts and how powerless we are. Empower yourself. That's the message from me to everybody out there. Empower yourself. You are not powerless. You are your mighty I am presence walking here on this world. We didn't incarnate on this world to become prisoners. Everything that's occurring is happening in order to completely transform the way that we exist on this world and reform it at a higher level. So there has to be changes. So trust in the process. That's the way that I'm looking at it at the moment. So
I'm gonna cut it out and play it every morning. Tim, thanks.
Oh,
My
oh,
daily
my pleasure.
motivation,
Thank
new
you.
one, or sorted. And coming back to the Atlantean connection, is there, and if so, what's the significance right now with, with our lives, but in the bigger picture, as you speak?
Atlantis is nothing and everything. Okay, so we are currently living as witnesses to the shadow of the fall of Atlantis. What we are seeing around us in the world is the finalization of what existed previously. So we are seeing the key players in positions. They are what I would describe as the powers that were. They've got all the money and they've got all of the positions and everything like that, but they have been rendered powerless by the fact that the entire planet's waking up. Deal with it, basically. It's one of these things. So what we are seeing, because so many people have got this shadow that exists within them, that's why we call it shadow work. You've got to kind of like roll around in the mud to kind of make your way to the top. So having never relinquished power since the fall, what we're now seeing is like an attempt at recreating the circumstances that actually were there at the fall of Atlantis. Same people, the same positions of power, the same kind of circumstances, in order to try and contain everything and lower the vibration. But instead, everybody's just kind of waking up in their millions and breaking out of it. So it's absolutely everything to do with our ascension pathway. And also the gold print that we are stepping onto for our future civilizations on this world is called the Atlantean Ascension Gold Print. So, what happened in Atlantis, we are leaving behind. That's the nothing part. The everything part is that we're reforming our entire world to live with I suppose, the same kind of protocols and heart-centeredness that the Atlanteans did, and also reclaim the knowledge, the technology, and everything that we will need for the future. So there's, and you look at it like that, there is so much going on simultaneously. It's very easy to understand why people are getting overwhelmed with it all.
Yeah, and it's just endlessly fascinating, isn't it? Once you start to dig into it and have these remembrances, and I know you've been guiding people through those for decades, really, Tim. So yeah, a huge topic, but yeah, absolutely. Feels so pertinent now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
hmm,
one of these things where even with 8 hours, I mean, you'd have to unravel all of these different aspects of what's going on at the moment with regards to the Atlantean connection, and it's huge. It's huge. It's everything. But I think what's really important is that people need to understand that they're not Atlanteans anymore. It's very easy to have one foot in Atlantis and like, oh, the golden memories. I just want to be back there again. But you're not. You're here. You're here on planet Earth in whatever country that you've chosen to incarnate in, and we've got a job to do. So it's very important to find to have that distinction, I find.
yeah, absolutely. And focus on what we're creating, what we're
Mm,
co-creating, and yeah.
massively.
Beautiful, thank you. So, as we're recording this prior to the June solstice, so summer in the north, winter in the southern hemisphere, it seems sort of almost rude not to talk about the sun
Yeah.
and and the specific role that the solar flares and all the that have played out in the photonic radiation that we've been receiving, it
Mm.
seems, for forever.
Yeah.
Why, I would love to know why it has felt so uncomfortable and so difficult most of the time, Tim, for many of us. What are your
Sun
reasons?
flares are uncomfortable with the if you think about the majority of the spiritual energies that we receive, like you with they're kind of more personal, aren't they? Like say you woke up one morning and chose to work with the diamond ray of purification courtesy of Archangel Gabriel. Well, that would be your thing for the day. You could place yourself in the diamond and you could purify yourself. Wouldn't bother anybody else. What you go through is what you go through. But with the sun flares, this is it always makes me laugh because there was a message that came through via Merlin and the Intergalactic Council at the beginning of the year, and they gave everybody the heads up that it would be like this. They said the frequencies are going to come in a way that there will be no cave deep enough and no rock large enough to hide from what you are receiving. So it doesn't matter, you could bury yourself into the core of the earth if you wanted to, you're still going to receive what the sun is releasing. And so these are the ascension triggers. It's not just a sun flare, it's a pre-packaged kind of like ascension codex that's been blasted into our DNA from a absolute rate of knots. So this feels uncomfortable because it's physical. It has the capacity to rewire computer chips and bring down communications and torch satellites. Imagine what it's doing to our electrical systems. Now, I'm finding the most difficult thing to navigate with it's my nervous system because our nervous system is plugged into still of a lot of the old traumas that we've received. We're also moving through this unprecedented change on the planet with lots of things happening to each and every one of us on a personal level. Our nervous systems are completely triggered all the time. So then you add a nice sun flare on top of it, and you've got very cooked light workers. It's you know what I mean? It's how much more can we take? How much more can we take and deal with and move through? It's almost like the thing that we feel like we didn't need, but we need the most more than anything else because the transformational capacity. I mean, you only got to look at the old fossil records from back in the eras of the dinosaurs when the sun used to go through similar periods. Now you'd get a huge explosion of green within the fossil records, like the trees would grow massively, everything would grow, it grow. So what's happening at the moment is very concentrated growth instructions, and that they're particularly coded for our DNA to wake our DNA up to its 12 strand capacity rather than the two strand that it has been for a very, very long time.
Do you feel like, as humans, do we change physically? Do you have any evidence? Okay, we feel, but do you have any, intuitive knowing of us becoming more crystalline and adjusting to that frequency?
Do you know, I've thought about this because if you look at it logically, if you look at it logically on a pathway of evolution, it would probably take us quite a long time to transform from the carbon-based objects that we are at the moment to being crystalline beings. It would you I mean, I don't know how long that would take. I feel that the crystalline description is more of an analogy. So the crystal, what do you think of when you think of a crystal? You think of purity, clarity, perfection. And so in that particular case, I think it's an analogy for the purification of the human vessel. For the time being, we are two arms, two legs, one head, and we're not made of crystal just yet. But over the course of a lot of transformations, yeah, we are going to be developing. Who knows what's programmed into our DNA for the future, if you see what I mean. It's of course we will evolve. Of course we will evolve. We'll probably be doing it on a level. I think what's more important at the moment is that people learn to look after the body that they have got. That's the big thing, isn't it? It's just like we've got these bodies and we haven't been looking after them. And a lot of the purification, this crystalline information that we're receiving, is how do we undo the damage of the third dimension before we move on? That's how I see it.
Yeah, that feels so resonant. That I remember thinking back probably about 3 years and feeling, this this feeling of shedding and sort of
Mm.
this feeling like I'm in a chrysalis, and actually it's every day now, isn't it? It's like, yeah, so
Yeah.
what version am I going to be today? What version of my
Yeah.
body will I find? But yeah, and it's I don't know about you too, but I feel almost when you don't look after the body, it tells you pretty much instantly. doesn't it? It's sort
Yeah.
of, you know, you if you've eaten something that's very, very refined, processed, or yeah, I feel it straight away, and I'm just
Absolutely, that's a really good point,
yeah.
actually. It's we can't get away with things that we used to get away with.
No.
So it's one of the it was obviously in the small print of becoming a light worker, and the one that we didn't actually read about. It's like, 'cause I think a lot of people would have had a look at that and go, oh, I don't fancy that so much. I'm going to have to give up gluten, alcohol, caffeine, sugar, all of the other yummy things that I like stuffing my face with on a daily basis, and it's all gone out the window. That happened to me last year. It was quite major as well. It was like I had to give up so much, and I was not happy about it at all. I'm not going to pretend, oh yeah, what such a joy of the ascension pathway. It was bloody miserable, but my body was telling me that it was not going to tolerate what I was putting in it anymore. It's like, no, you can't have caffeine and deal with it, sort of thing. And I'm still off the gluten now, although I have gone back to coffee.
One has to have some vices.
One does, but also one has to be aware of the fact that the body can protest very loudly.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, thank you. Um, Tim, we've been talking about this, all of us for quite a while, and noticing that light workers, kindred spirits, kindred souls, soul family, we've been finding each other and connecting in greater numbers, both virtually and in person, more than ever. And it feels that certainly over the last sort of 12 months or so, um, it's increased in intensity and in potency, really. And I just sitting back in awe, what, marveling really at the whole process. And sort of having been to many of your in-person events, I'm always aware of the safe, sacred, really loving container that you create, whether you're on your own or with people like Mia, and this helps so much. I feel this safety for us to do the work and do it to the greatest efficacy, really, so that we can, do that work for ourselves and on a planetary level. So thank you. Um,
Appreciate
and
it. Thank you.
and just wondering what your views are of that whole process, the importance of connecting to your soul family, as Pam Gregory calls it, your family of frequency,
Yeah.
given the wider picture. If you could talk into that a little bit, please.
Well, this is why I love doing the job that we do, because we're starting to see the actual evidence of what we're doing here. I mean, if you were talking about a whole planet of people waking up and becoming a huge loving global community, you'd have been like, yeah, that's a nice conversation for a rainy day, but can't really see it happening, sort of thing. But all of a sudden, over the years, we can thank quite a lot of things for that. We can like the growth of social media, the spiritual connections that we've managed to make, and also, but more anything else, like the compounded circumstances of our wake up, particularly for the last 5 years. If you look at what's happened in the last 5 years, um, beginning with all of the lockdown shenanigans and all the rest of it, however you want to view it, the more pressure we receive from the matrix in order to separate us, it has the totally opposite effect. The more we wake up, the more we're coming together, and this is the absolute foundation of the fifth dimensional pathway: heart-centeredness, community, coming together, support, sovereignty, completely changing what exists previously with all of the separation. You think about, us running around like living our lonely 3D lives, like go get up in the morning, go to work, come home, eat your dinner, go to sleep, wake up, pay the bills, all the rest of it. People know that there is something more than that. And there's still a lot of us that are doing that, but people are feeling the yearning. and they understand that they are disconnected. They understand that a lot of this has been technology based more recently. People are really waking up to it. Physical communion with one another, it's a natural instinct. It's the one thing that we didn't know we needed until we experienced it, and then all of a sudden it's bang, my God, that's what's been missing from my life. I even watched this. It's YouTube algorithm's amazing. I just the other day clicked on a video that was it was a young lady from Portugal who's my eldest son's age, and she was literally talking about how bloody wonderful it was when the lights went out for 2 days over there. She said all of a sudden I'm at the table with my family talking to my friends in the street. Nobody's like walking along looking at their mobile phone, and it was like 2 days of just bliss because people connected with each other. So everyone is realizing that is what has been missing. And as we all come together on this world, little by little, we'll find the balance, and that will be a major part of our lives again.
Oh, I love that. Resonates so much. And so that's one of the things, the awareness of that. But is there anything else you would add, to be aware of as, light workers or awakened souls, or however you want to call it, to prevent us from starting to make the process? Because, it's easy to say, yeah, just go with the flow, just feel it, just tune in. Is there any, advice you give how to make it flow more with ease? The whole process, the whole
Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted, because this is what Merlin, Serapis Bay, Kuan Yin, and everybody were talking about. They took a. I'll paint the picture a little bit. You might have heard me talk about it, but March, the Intergalactic Council, and a lot of the other souls that we work with on a day-to-day basis from the higher realms, they took a recess. They stepped out for a month without any warning. And when they came back on the 29th of March, when that blue light came through, it was like, right, we've had to rethink about how we're doing, because so many people are getting distracted. They're getting distracted by the carnival. I mean, you've got to hand it to the kind of like the powers that were. They're good at getting people, they're good at pressing the fear buttons. They're like, well, let's have some conflicts here. Let's have some more social control. Let's bring in this agreement or that agreement. So all of these things, it's not just one anymore. It's everything from all sides simultaneously. And this is where we have got to be very, very focused upon creating what we want to experience, rather than being recoiling at what's occurring around us, because it's not going to stop until everybody's transformed. So we're just going to see this increasing and growing in velocity around us until everybody's moved away from it and it's just got no more fuel left. So for the time being, if you're on the pathway, if you're committing to this planetary process, don't waste your emotions getting angry about something which is you like. Find out what you can change, find out what you have control over, and focus upon that. And that mostly will, the answer to that is your personal frequency and your personal vibration, your mighty I am presence, your sovereignty. And work up, like once you've got that and other people can receive it and feel it and sense it, then everything starts moving forward. But it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to have your buttons pressed, and all of a sudden you're in this field of energy that's just filled with fear and anger and everything like that. I don't mean ignore it. I mean just be aware of why it's occurring and what the actual ingredients are, how and why it's happening in the first place.
Yeah, thank you. And that sort of, don't get emotionally invested in it, or
It's
however,
fuel.
however
It's
difficult
fuel.
that.
It's
Yeah.
your attention and your intention and your emotional fields are your spiritual currency that they seek, because they don't have the magic of the astral anymore. So they're looking for it. They're trying to get it in the outside world. It's a different playbook at the moment.
Mm. Gosh, thank you. Yeah. Protect your focus, protect your energy, and thank you. So again, so we'll move into the solstice portal
Yeah.
in this year of years, Tim.
Yeah, the mightiest of years.
What what do you feel is the main energy drive, the main purpose, the main function of this particular? And I mean, every date feels important, doesn't it, at the
Yeah,
moment?
it
So,
does.
but this, of course, the solstices are the big, big transitional portals. What do you feel that the main purpose of this one is, or the
To
main?
be able to walk through with absolute certainty about what we're creating together. This is what I'm really feeling is like they want us to be focused on our own vibration. They want us to be focused on what we are going to create with one another, and also be aware that with this particular solstice window and the occurrences that are going on in the world, that we're going to be seeing or feeling a huge amount of people waking up around us because they are. And these people aren't necessarily displaying interests in spiritual activities or the same attributes that we would like, attribute to light workers. They are simply waking up because they can no longer tolerate the circumstances of their existence. So we've got this super duper rapidly changing world, but it's about us walking into the second half of this year absolutely grounded in certainty of what we're here to do, acknowledging our soul mission. And I think, yeah, it came through to me the other day. It's just like if you're not sure about who you are and where you're going on this planet, it's time to start asking questions and simply, wake up every day saying, I am my highest self, embody that mighty I am presence. That's the most important thing as we walk through the solstice gateway is to be that. Nothing else matters about it. It's about getting you and I and everybody else who's acknowledged this pathway ready to anchor that energy and that frequency and become that. Not it's Saturday, I'm with all my spiritual mates. Yeah, I'm my mighty I am presence today. Then on Monday morning, it's back to kind of like shuffling through life, feeling like all limited and crap. It's yeah, this is 7 days a week, 365 days a year now. We've got to really work on it. So that's what I feel this June energy is about, that personal transformation that we're going through.
And I feel like it kind of intertwines also with what I want to ask you next, Tim, in the spiritual discernment, because the more it grows, the more it evolves, the more kind of misinformation it is out there. And I find, even being so intuitive, we can get trapped in our own, being lost in it. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about the discernment at this time. What's your view on that, and maybe an advice how to really follow and how to fully tap into, what is actually true?
Absolutely. Never before will we live in a time where there is so much information available to us, but also we have never been privy to the level of personal discernment that we have at the moment. It's no longer possible to ignore distortion. This is the thing, like it's actually made the discernment job a lot easier than it used to be. There's like discernment in the third dimension, and when we begun the first 10 years of this ascension pathway, discernment was a lot tougher because we had a lot more to move through. And there was therefore we were like, is this an illusion or isn't it? Like, can I trust this? Can I not? And so you'd have to work through it, you'd have to dig really deep into it. Now everything is glaringly obvious as to whether it actually is for us or it isn't. It's almost like someone's taken away. It's like, well, that test's kind of, it's a lot easier now than it used to be because if something isn't resonant with us, we know we can see it, and we can only pretend for a little bit that we can't see it if we are pretending. There's huge amounts of information, like even to the point where a lot of the old spiritual ways that aren't rooted in integrity are being actively called out on social media. Starting to see it everywhere. It's becoming quite fashionable, but we're also seeing just like a staggering amount of deception that was hidden previously in the 3D world, in the news and politics, and just every time there's a mouth moving on TV, you don't even have to discern, you don't even have to listen to it, because you can feel it, and you can feel it in your heart, and you can see it with your third eye. So with that, my advice would be to trust what you receive. If you feel that it's right, it's right. If it doesn't feel right to you, don't second guess it. You go with your feelings. It's because they're becoming very, very tuned into the field and what's right and what's wrong. Okay.
I love that. Thank you. And it's, yeah, I really feel that, it's, I think personally for me, one of the most difficult things when I was constantly, consciously starting to work on this pathway was that trusting of your intuition. And it's a
Yeah.
question that comes up time and time again with clients and students and things. But yeah, it almost feels, as you say, that it's just so obvious
Yeah.
viscerally now, isn't it? If something's
It is.
off. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah. But yes, we will definitely be aware and yeah, have our discernment um, eyes open.
I mean,
Um,
there's one of the things is like if it we're all kind of receiving things and thinking, "Isn't that a little bit too good to be true?" and
mm,
stuff like that. And you know inside of you whether something's right or wrong. There's so many stories, so many fabrications that are being weaved out in that world. But people know, okay, we've got this discernment that has been honed by millennia of living on this world, and all of a sudden, like it's been made easy. That veil that was blocking our third eye and preventing us from actually seeing the truth has gone. You don't have to look very hard or very far to realize what's truth and what's distortion. It's blaringly obvious. So yeah.
thank you. Thanks, Tim. And sort of touching into that really, just wanted to talk about a little bit more about we're talking about the importance of grounding, especially as we're bringing in so much light and being
Yeah.
vessels for, information from the higher realms. I'd like to look at the opposite of that really and touch upon our connection with the elemental realm, the
Mm.
animals, Mother Earth, and how you see that as changing, maybe deepening and maybe being more crucial, I don't know, to our well-being. And I feel that's I almost struggle not to go outside
Yeah.
barefoot at the moment because it's like it's the one thing that brings relief.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wondered if what your thoughts were on that topic, really.
It's if you look at it from a point of our process has got a big dividing line down the center of it, organic or inorganic. And we are on the organic side. We are organic beings that need to be nourished by the organic world. Yes, a lot of what we do is it's supported by the inorganic side of it, but nothing will ground you more than going out in nature, connecting to the elementals, feeling the rain, feeling the wind, getting the sun on your skin. And that was a very clear message from Gaia at the beginning of the year. It's like when you need comfort, come to me. Say no more. I'm there. You know what I mean? It's like in the mountains, in the trees, in the forest, by the sea, whatever you need. It's all here. It's all here. Again, we've been convinced to be separated from it. But what's really interesting that I've seen happen this year, and it's been really good fun, is that a lot of the elemental realm who were fourth dimensional have ascended. So all of a sudden we're surrounded by fairies with golden wings and all of the other beautiful beings that have been plugged into the world that in the way that it was, very much like the dragons, they've now gone through their ascension process. So it's become even more beautiful, even more calming, even more powerful out there. There used to be kind of a little bit, it used to be a bit 50-50 sometimes connecting with the elementals because you didn't know whether they were going to be angry with you about something because they were living in the same kind of world that we were. But they seem to have lost that now. They've gone above the benchmark of polarity and are seeing things from this much higher, brighter, finer view. They've done the most incredible work for the planet, And every time we go out in nature, we can feel that. Where it's just like, oh my God, this is what I need. Not that we didn't know that in the first place, but sometimes you've got to really make yourself do it. If you're yearning for that outside walk, or putting your feet on the grass, or stepping into the water, or going to the beach, do it. Your soul needs it. That's where we are at home.
Yeah, so simple and so true, so true. We've already talked about, our tribe, connecting with other souls, connecting with other people, connecting with our souls family here and now. Could we talk a bit more about the importance of it, Tim? How do you feel it intertwines to everything what you've said so far, and maybe more into details, and maybe from your experience as well? Because I've noticed, the more I'm connecting with others physically and non-physically, because it also happens, in my heart, I can notice connecting with others even though I don't see them, exist physically. And I've noticed the more, let's say something changes in me, I see it like a, crystal grid, and it awakens in those as well. And then I notice sometimes a shift coming from somewhere. Could you talk more about, our connection and importance of that?
Well, with our ability to see more and perceive more and discern more, that's also become that's hand in hand with our connectivity with each other. So as we become more aware and more open and more awake, we realize how incredibly interconnected with one another we are. And like, I think people haven't even noticed how psychic they're becoming. It's just become second nature. Like, oh, so and so's just text me. I knew that text was coming, and it's just like, that's everyday life now. It wasn't 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That would have been a bit, oh my God, I've had a psychic flash that you were going to text, like, oh my God, I think we're so psychic. And then all of a sudden, like, this is everyday life. We're so interconnected with one another. We know how each other's feeling and what we're going through. And this is what I think a lot of light workers have struggled with in the past, is the fact that we're plugged into people that are drawing energy or dropping density, whereas that connection that we are beginning to establish now is a higher connection. It's one where we're not taking each other's energy or putting all of our emotions into there, like, oh, have my density, like happy clearing it up for me. Thank you. I feel great. That kind of stuff is, that we're walking away from that. It's about a connection of heart-centeredness. That's where the connection lies, and the navel chakra and all of the other kind of psychic attributes that we are developing, to the point where it's not so much a thing, it just is. This is how important our connection to each other is. It's become so, you'll notice the things on the ascension pathway that are meant to be happen so organically and so naturally. You have to sort of like, actually, that's happened. Bloody hell. And I didn't notice it. It feels so fluid and so natural to have that connectivity with one another, and also so important, because as we move through the process that we're moving through, we are no longer individualized on our ascension process. It's becoming a communal pathway that all of us are experiencing. We need one another to basically provide that support at this moment in time. Because if we're going to build another system, which we are going to have to do, we're doing it at the moment, a system inside of the system that exists at the time, we're going to have to do that together. You can't do it on your own. One person, yeah, you got all the ideas, but you haven't got any backup for it. All of a sudden, people are going to be here for one another, and we're seeing it everywhere at the moment. Just that heightened sense of, I need that connection. I need my tribe around me. And it's so natural. It's all of a sudden it's here. It's happened. It's great.
And pulling that a bit more, Tim, because I have to ask, from my experience, I would, we're very familiar, with all the ascended masters, angels, different star beings, unicorns, dragons. But in your view, do you feel, because I would connect and the quality will come, and this is something new, because there's always will be a knowing, right? It's a familiar energy, it's a familiar being, and then you're diving in, exploring, and you're like, yeah, I know, But in your view, are there any new beings of light or angels or galactic, star
Yeah,
beings that are making themselves known to us, and what's their purpose?
very much so. Now, on the 1st of May, there was a gathering of the masters at Mount Shasta that was like none other that we've had before. So every 100 years, there's this super duper mega gathering at Mount Shasta from the higher realms, and all of the ascended masters and angels and all of the other beings of light attend it. Now, this year was different because on the 1st of May, a clarion call went out and invited countless beings that haven't attended this world before to come and join the party, and they did. So there's quite a few of us out there now that are being presented with unfamiliar names and energies because they're just like, right, okay, well, I'm going to bring my wisdom from this dimension or from this place, and so yeah. Whereas I personally feel that we wouldn't have had the ability to perceive these beings previously because of our level, now we can, which is why they're here. If you look at how the ascension process is structured, it's always built very carefully to support our connectivity and what we can perceive and what we've worked through. So it was just, there's no such thing as coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence that these beings arrived on the 1st of May. Everyone up there knew damn well that people on this world were ready for the next phase, ready for the new information, ready for the new connectivities. So that community is not just physical, it's building in the higher realms as well. Okay.
Well, I love that. It's so exciting, isn't it?
It
Firstly, that,
is.
we're all connected and we can feel that. And, you know, people who wouldn't necessarily call themselves spiritual are open to that and just take that as it's just how things are. And then secondly, that we've got this whole new host of beautiful beings being available to us as our frequency rises. So it's
Absolutely. It's just everything is happening all at once. So it's I think you can be overwhelmed by some of the energies that are occurring, but then when you look at something like that, you realize like, wow, I'm blessed to be here on this planet at this time. Like what a time to incarnate, really, if you think about it.
I
Yay.
know.
It's a good time to be here.
I think we all agree that, don't we? And it's, yeah, and it can be, as you say, can be overwhelming, and there is so much in terms of everyday initiations and challenges and traumas, but you know, as you say, that wider picture is so crucial, isn't it? That we all hold that vision and
Absolutely. I mean, one thing that I will mention is if you are feeling overwhelmed, don't ignore it. There's a huge tribe of people out here that are now ready to share that load with you. It's back in 2008, we were all kind of, if you were awake, we thought the ascension process was completely on our shoulders. Now we know that it's not. We're all adding our piece of the puzzle to this, and there's always going to be somebody out there who's having an experience that's similar to yours because there's so many of us that are awake now. So always don't carry your burdens alone, and if you are feeling overwhelmed, step back, go out in nature, like do whatever you need to do, take that walk, put your feet in the water, go to the beach, just take some time because it's one of the lessons of the year is to step back when you need to step back. When it's time to step back, when every nerve in your body is telling you to back off. If you ignore that, there's ramifications for it. We all know that. You're because we're becoming so in tune with ourselves and what we need to feed our body with. It's not just physical fuel, it's energetic as well. So knowing when to stop, to step back and to provide ourselves with the soul treats that we need is very important.
That's a beautiful message. Thank you, Tim. It's yeah,
Sure.
and it's so needed, isn't it? And to do that without guilt as well, I think,
Yeah.
it's a matter of necessity, isn't it, rather than luxury. So
Yeah, definitely. No, and there's no luxuries in taking time. It's something that we have to do. Yeah.
so I would just like to ask, and we've talked about some beautifully potent, fundamental, and yeah, incredibly grounded subjects. So thank you for your advice from Kate and I and all of our audience. But I would like to just throw in a final question from me before I hand over to Kate. And I just wanted to know what you think about the new batch of crop circles, Tim, that have appeared in the UK.
You've actually got so I love crop circles. I do. I think like I used to have crops. Like the best of 2008. Like the crop circle compendium. I used to have the calendar every year. I think they're amazing. They're obviously a trigger for the people that need to see it. I don't think they're a bunch of students out in the field at 3 o'clock in the morning with a board and a compass and a piece of string. They're definitely being created by a higher mind with the intention of people seeing that it's a symbol in whatever purpose, whatever energy it is creating. There's so many amazing things that go on in this world simultaneously. Now it's like, oh, there's another crop circle. I mean, if it was in the field next to me, I'd be sat in the middle of it, sort of thing. But we've got so much that indicates that we're being spoken to all the time. It's very difficult to kind of like differentiate what we should be paying attention to and what we shouldn't. So I mean, crop circles are there to tell people that pay attention to this symbol, wherever it's going, whatever it's doing for you, serves a higher purpose at the time. I think they're great fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, can you perhaps mention what you've got coming up, Tim, in terms of events and
Yeah.
all the goodies
Well,
that you're
I'm
putting
just going to
through?
have to quickly get my diary out, actually. My brain and dates at the moment. So I am going to be heading down to join Kelly Vikings for a solstice ceremony next week. So coming up to the June solstice, that's one way that I'm going to be celebrating that. Now, on the 22nd of June, 2 days after I get back from that beautiful event with Kelly, I've got my Sunday Night Ascension Club Illness and the Ascension Pathway, which is basically something that has been really coming up for people. The way that we're affected by what comes through. So that's the subject of it, illness and the ascension pathway. That's on the 22nd of June. So that's what I've got coming up this month. It's a little bit of a gap, obviously, because I'm going to be away down in St Nexon's Glen, which I'm very, very excited about. And then after that, I mean, most of the information there is on my website coming up, and we have got something to be excited about in the autumn, haven't we, Kirsty?
Yes, we
Yay.
have.
So would you like to tell us all about it?
Well, I would love to, yes. So, yeah, I'm so blessed because Tim is going to be joining me, or I'm going to be joining Tim in Shropshire on the 1st of November at the beautiful Camled Barns, and we're going to be holding an event which is basically to ease all be a little loving container for all of the challenges, the initiations that people have been through. And as we sit here in June and talk about the intensity of the frequencies, I'm sure by that point we will all be needing that loving sort of space. And it's basically going to be a little sort of healing pod, isn't it, Tim?
It is. It is. So this is on the 1st of November, and you've opened the doors for me. Thank you, Kirsty. I'm
Oh,
so looking forward to it. And that's exactly what it's going to be. That's exactly what I'm feeling guided for us to create on that day is a healing cocoon for everybody to just come and join us. If you are feeling guided to do so, obviously we'll be doing ascension work, but it's going to be done in a way that is preparation for the December solstice, but also to basically bring everything to fruition that we've experienced during the course of the year. It'll be the beginning of the 11th month. We'll probably know very much where we're going with the energies by that point. And I just feel so much that when we do come together, that it's important that we have that safe space, a healing cocoon, anything that's coming through at that particular time, we work with it and look at what we've been presented with over the course of the year. So I'm very excited about coming up and joining you.
thank you. I'm so thrilled and excited. It'll be so beautiful. So, and we'll put all of the details, Tim, how people can connect with you and work with you and come to your beautiful events
Oh, thank
in the
you.
show notes. But
Yay.
thank you so much. It's been such a joy, hasn't it, Kate?
Thank you so much. I'm gonna set up my countdown app till 1st of
Yes.
November. Can't wait to be having a healing cocoon. Can't wait.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is about organizing an event in the future is you never know where you are quite going to be with the energy, but I know the outside, the building of that cocoon is going to be very important by the time we get to November. I'm feeling that very strongly. So yeah, you put it in your diary, Kate, definitely.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, well, thank you so much, Tim, and thank you, Kate, and thank you everyone who's joined us today. And
Yeah.
if you've enjoyed it and you want more, please don't be shy. Do subscribe or like or ring the little bell because we really appreciate your energy and being with us and helping to spread the magic, the joy, and a little bit of angelic light as well. But
No, you're,
thank
you're
you.
both lovely. Thank you so much for bringing me on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.